Welcome to Lunch Break Live. Chef Linda, what are you making?
Today we are making Swedish meatballs. We're making Swedish meatballs with plants, and they're fabulous, and it's fall, and it's the best time to make meatballs, I think.
All right. And it's wonderful because you don't need to use animals to make Swedish meatballs. You can make them 100% plant-based. We're going to see how right now. Take it away, and then we're going to talk about Catskills Animal Sanctuary.
Okay, so I'm making a recipe from our cookbook, and this I like to cook with whole foods for the most part. So this recipe, there's a lot of ways to make vegan meatballs, and this is just one other way. So I'm using eggplant. Now I've taken an eggplant, about 1 pound, I peeled it, I chopped it into little pieces so that we can saute it up. I'm putting a little olive oil in my pan here. And we're going to saute this up, and it just comes together in a couple of steps. So it's going in the pan.
Can you just show me a tight shot of that? Now, what exactly is that you put in the pan?
So this is an eggplant that's been peeled and cut.
Can we get a tight shot of it so that we can see, I see eggplant and I see a very difficult thing. How is it that it turns white like that and cubed?
So it takes 2 seconds to peel it. So I peel off that purple skin, and then I just cut it really, and it's such a soft vegetable, so it cuts up really easily, and the skin peels off really easily. That takes like, a minute to peel it. Yeah, so, and then you cut it into little cubes because this is going to be the basis of the meatballs, which is an unusual ingredient. Usually it's like lentils or something like that. So this is just a little bit different.
Got it.
So then I'm going to take some onions. Now I chopped up some onions, nice and small, and I'm going to put those right into our eggplant. And we're going to just let these cook down a little bit. And if you get really close to the computer, you can smell it. You can smell I'm putting in some garlic. Now I've chopped up some garlic. And one of the keys, I think, in cooking is to have all your ingredients prepped so that when you go to cook, you're actually cooking. You're not chopping and throwing things in the pan, right? So I always tell people, if you can, get your ingredients chopped and laid out first. And then cooking is actually like a breeze, just a breeze. So if you could smell that, it smells fantastic. I've got everything cooking down in this pan. And I'm going to put a lid on it while we get to cooking some other stuff. And I'm going to stir it occasionally. So that's one part of it.
You've got the cubed eggplant, and then you mix what into it before it starts just sauteing there?
I did 3 ingredients. It's eggplant, it's onions, and it's garlic. And I am going to put a little bit of salt in there. Always want to flavor, put a little bit of salt. That helps the water come out, and add some seasoning to that. So that's 3 ingredients right there in a pan. The other thing we're going to do to get this going, to make up the ingredients, to bind everything together, is oats. So oats are a whole grain. They're so good for us, and we don't get enough of them. So I'm using oats to bind things together. I'm putting it into a food processor. I'm taking some breadcrumbs. These are just store-bought breadcrumbs. If you're gluten-free, you could use gluten-free breadcrumbs. So oats, breadcrumbs here, into the food processor. And then, because I want this to have a little bit of texture, because these are nice meaty meatballs, I'm putting in some walnuts. And walnuts these are chopped, but since they're going into the food processor, you don't have to do a lot of chopping in advance. A lot of omega-3 fatty acids in here, really healthy, wonderful. Everybody should have some nuts every day if they can, if their diet supports it. And then, because these are Swedish meatballs, not Italian meatballs, I'm going to be putting in some nutmeg, some allspice, and some salt and pepper.
Woo!
And
wow!
Little different flavor to the meatball than what we're used to.
The binder that binds the eggplant cubes together. In other words, people say, oh, well, we need eggs to do a binder. No, you can use, now I'm seeing oats and breadcrumbs.
You can. You know what? You can, you definitely don't need eggs. And you find most of these ingredients in traditional meatballs. So there's a lot of familiarity for people. And when I cook and when I teach, I try to, remind people that this is all food. This is all vegan food, all of this stuff, right? When you're making meatballs made from meat, the only thing that's animal-based is the meat, right? Or the egg. So everything else is plant-based. So you can take those couple of ingredients out, make a couple substitutions, and end up with something that is even more delicious, better for the animals, better for the planet, better for your body. So just want to show you cooking this down a little bit.
Hold it up a little bit. Hold it up. I want to see it more carefully.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. By the way, Ikea has vegan Swedish meatballs. We did a whole story on it.
You did.
If you're lazy, you could just go to Ikea and get Ikea vegan Swedish meatballs. They're very popular.
I've had them.
Okay, check it out. Whoa. Yeah.
Starting to turn a little translucent.
Yeah, you're a good cuber.
Cooking down. I'm going to cover that. And then I'm going to give these ingredients a little whiz in the food processor that we just put in there. And just to remind everybody, it's oats, breadcrumbs, walnuts, and some spices. So cover your ears for a moment.
Chef Linda, we have a rule on Lunch Break Live. Anytime we turn on a blender or Cuisine, we dance. This is an absolute
I'll do my dance. I've had a lot of dances. All right, let me get this on tight. Excuse me. There we go. All right. I don't know if everybody else is dancing, but I'll do my blender dance. All right, ready?
Go.
All right.
Okay, you done?
So with that little dance, we were able to grind up the oats and pulse everything together here so it's nice and fine and will mix really nicely with the rest of the ingredients.
Grainola oats, breadcrumbs, and walnuts.
Yes. Now one other ingredient we are going to add to the food processor before we add our eggplant in there when it's cooked is white beans. You could really use any beans you like, but I like white beans because they're just mild and they don't add a lot of flavor. You could use pinto beans, but these are great because there are so many binding ingredients in here. These have fiber. They have the protein that everybody's asking about. Where am I going to get my protein? Well, normally you really don't need to worry about it if you're eating a variety of foods in your diet, but in particular, here's some protein right here in the white beans. I'm putting those right into the food processor. I got to do another dance.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready.
All right, ready? Here we go. It's been a long time since I've been dancing, as you can tell, I'm sure.
No, very good, very good.
All right, so that's just.
Why didn't you just put them all in at once, including the beans?
You know why? Because I like the oats to get really ground up. And if you put everything into your food processor at once, everything at the bottom is going to get really ground up and the things at the top are not going to get. So I like everything even. So that's why I start with those and then I add the beets in after.
Got it.
My own weird little way of cooking, but seems to work. So now I'm just going to take this lovely eggplant and I'm going to show you that it is so.
Whoa, that looks great. Translucent. Yeah.
So we're going to take that and I'm going to just scoop it right into the food processor.
Oh my God, you're putting that in the food processor.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, no.
Great answers. And that gets kind of ground up and that becomes our meatball. Then I'm going to make a really quick gravy. I just lost it. So one of the great things about this recipe also is that we're making a gravy that is creamy and delicious and it just goes so well. And it's like when I serve this to people, they're like, you can't possibly tell me that this is vegan. I'm like, it's vegan. And that's the wonderful thing about teaching and sharing recipes with people, I think, because once they try things and they realize that the food is delicious, it's creative, it's just wonderful. People start to think differently about the choices that they make. And
yeah, for sure. All right, I'm ready to dance.
All right, here we go. I like this one.
I'm doing that. I'm very much into this head whipping thing. All right.
All right, let's see. So I think, get my spoon and show you.
Now that was a very short blend.
It was. Now, because we had those other things already kind of blended in advance, right? So we kind of did it step by step so that we get a smooth. So this is hot, so I'm going to be careful. Is our meatball.
Wow. And then what? What do you do?
And then, so what I want to do first, though, is get our gravy going, and then I'll show you how to finish the
Okay.
meatball.
Okie dokie.
So I'm going to get a pot here. And this gravy comes together really quickly because we are going to use some really simple things. We're going to use some vegan butter. You could use olive oil if you wanted to. That would be totally fine. I'm going to put that into the pot. And normally when you're making gravy, you're taking a fat and you take a butter and you put them together and it turns into what's called a roux. And a roux is what will thicken a sauce. So I'm going to get our roux going here.
What's that? What's the white thing?
So this is flour. This is just flour on the floor. It is regular all-purpose flour. Again, you can use gluten-free. This whole thing could be gluten-free if you wanted to. And so it's equal amounts, butter and flour.
But our butter is vegan butter.
It is. And you know what? So when I talk and I teach, to me, it's butter. This is my butter. Right?
I know. I always have to remind people, though, because people are so ingrained to think that butter comes from a cow, that it's part of the breast milk of a cow. So we're using vegan butter, which is 0 cholesterol, by the way.
Exactly. And so what I'm doing is I'm whisking it together as I'm cooking. And this is going to cook just a little bit, get the raw flour taste out. And that thickens up into a paste, basically. Look at my angle right here. Into a paste. And you go, well, that doesn't look very good. But to that, we're going to add vegetable broth. This I happen to make from mushroom stems and some kale stems and onion pieces. And I just happen to have it in the fridge. But you can buy vegetable broth. And all we're doing is whisking it in. This is 3 cups. And as you whisk it in, it starts to thicken up.
Veronica Finnegan says she's dancing in her chair as she watches.
Veronica can probably do a better dance than I can. So that's, I think you should get up out of your chair, Veronica. All right, so that's going to thicken up a little bit. And as that thickens, we're also going to be adding, this is one of my favorite ingredients, probably maybe one of yours too, is nutritional yeast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so nutritional yeast and inactive yeast, you don't use it to make bread or anything like that. It is grown on beets and sugar cane and things like that. So it's really cheesy. And it's soups and stews and sauces. I even put it in some baked goods. So I'm putting in about 1/3 cup.
And it has B12. So that's good.
B12, absolutely. So I'm going to pour this in.
And this gravy you could use on anything. Like this is a standard vegan gravy recipe.
Yeah.
The vegan butter, the flour, the yes, and the what do you call it? Veggie broth.
Veggie broth, yes.
Yes.
So
and now what?
So now I'm putting in some tamari or soy sauce.
Okay.
Coconut amino acids. Some people like to cook with that, but this is like a little soy sauce for flavor.
Cool.
Pouring that in. And I make this gravy all the time. The only exception when I make it for these meatballs is we're going to put in some coconut yogurt, some plain unsweetened yogurt. because that's kind of how they serve Swedish meatballs. That's kind of the sauce they make. So this is vegan Worcestershire sauce.
Oh.
Worcestershire sauce generally has anchovies in it. So I found mine at Stop and Shop, which is a big store where I am. So it just goes to show you.
There's vegan stores like Vegan Essentials that have it too. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that gives it some nice flavor, some nice tang to it. And I'm going to add a little bit of mustard. This is just regular Dijon yellow mustard. Put that in there.
Wow.
And that is, so there's no, and the other ingredient that I really like to add is, it's white pepper.
White pepper. I didn't even know such a thing existed.
It exists. And you know what's so great about it is it won't discolor your sauce, right? Because it's white. But the other thing, it has a whole different heat. It has like a heat that warms you like from the inside as opposed to pepper that warms, like heats your mouth up.
Yeah.
So we're going to put a little bit of that in there. And I'm going to show you how this is thickening up. It's a beautiful, beautiful color.
Oh, well, let's see. No, I can't see it. Can't see it.
I'm afraid to pour it out.
There we go. Okay, yeah. Okay, so it's a gravy. It looks just like gravy.
Just like a gravy. So we're going to let that. I'm going to add just a little bit more broth, and then I'm going to cook up. Show you how I finish up the meatballs. So I'm going to.
I always say vegan meatballs because people join while we're going, and they don't know, and then they think we're making dead animals, and we're not cooking.
Gosh, no dead animals here.
Yeah, we're by the way, this is all happening at a farm sanctuary, one of the most famous farm sanctuaries in the world, the Catskills Animal Sanctuary in Saugerties, New York, which is upstate New York. So continue on.
Okay, so I'm reusing the eggplant pan because who wants to wash a lot of pans? I'm always like, I'm a lazy chef. I want to make the least amount of work possible for myself. So I'm heating up a little bit of oil in the pan because that's where we're going to put our meatballs. The recipe that we're providing for you on the website instructs people to bake them, but because I don't have that much time, I'm going to just fry up a few in the pan. But you can bake them; they come out really wonderful. But I just wanted to show everybody how they come together. Unless you want to stay with me for another half an hour, but I'm sure you don't. So
we want to see how to make this, and you're doing an incredible job, frankly.
Yeah, there's two. So you can. Some people do like fried meatballs, vegan meatballs, and some like them baked. So there's two ways you can do them depending on what you like. So what I have here is a plate of breadcrumbs. Same breadcrumbs I used in the filling, and these vegan meatballs are going to have a little coating on them. What if there was something that Swedes say that there's no bad weather, there's only bad clothes? So I said, you know what? Let's put our vegan meatballs coated in a little breadcrumbs because that adds to the crunch and it makes just a different kind of consistency than like an Italian vegan meatball. So I'm using a scoop because I like to, and they make a really nice uniform size, but you could use just a tablespoon. And I'm going to scoop out our mixture here. And because we let it sit for just a couple of minutes, the moisture from the eggplant got soaked up with the breadcrumbs and the oats, and it's a really, nice consistency. I have white pepper.
Yeah, pepper. There you go.
Oh, look at
that. Wow.
Vegan
that is really, yes.
Excuse me. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take it and I'm going to roll it in our breadcrumbs. Just like that. We didn't need to egg it. We didn't need to do any of that. Look at it. Beautiful. I'm going to put it right into our pan.
Okay, now do you put a lot of oil there to fry it up or not?
I did. I put not a lot. I put a little bit. Maybe, you know what, Jane? I'm going to put a little more oil in there.
And what kind of oil are you using?
I'm using a little olive oil, but you could use a high heat oil. You could use avocado oil. You could use canola oil if you use that. I like olive oil. So I'm going to take, where's my scoop? I'm going to take up another couple of.
So you use like an ice cream scooper.
It is. I use this to make, I was testing chocolate chip cookies this morning. Oh my God.
You're whispering like you don't want anybody to hear you.
I'm doing a class tomorrow on vegan desserts for chocoholics.
Oh
and
my
so
God.
I've been testing these darn cookies, and I had to test them again this morning to try something different. And so I use my scoop for everything. So
what you're rolling them in is just breadcrumbs?
yes. Now, because we're going to have this gravy on it, like I didn't really season the breadcrumbs with anything because there's a lot of seasoning in the meatball. Remember, we put nutmeg and we put allspice. So I don't want too many different flavors. I want that to be the main thing.
The plant-based meatballs.
The plant-based meatballs, yes. So stirring up our gravy over here, which looks delicious. And one thing we always do, right, before you serve anybody, always got to taste as you go, right? So let's make sure. That is so good. That has the heat from that white pepper that makes, it just turns it into a completely different thing. I love it.
Wow, white pepper.
One more meatball in here, because when I put this on a plate, I want to show you rolling up my meatball. And it's really not messy either, right?
Yeah. Maybe we should come up with another name for it so it doesn't have the word meat in it.
I know. Do you know what? It's like so many of us, like we didn't.
How about plant ball? Plant ball.
We're having a discussion, and we were saying how we didn't want it to have. We need new names. We need new names for things.
I'm going to go for plant ball. These are I think plant balls is fun.
Jane,
they're from eggplant, so it's a plant ball.
These are plant balls. You got it. So let me show you, without burning my towel here. You can see they're cooking up. The pan is, they're rolling all over the place. Let me do it.
How about using a tong and showing us?
I'm going to do that. My trusty tongs. So let's show you that these are brown and get crisp. They smell delicious. They cook up really beautifully. And what we're going to do is, now when you're making this, you can traditionally you could serve it on mashed potatoes, which are easily veganized with some vegan butter or olive oil and vegetable broth. You can even use vegan sour cream if you like your potatoes like that. But you could put them on bow tie pasta, which is what I'm going to do. You can put them on noodles, and you could put them on spaghetti squash. You could put them on spiralized zucchini. Lots of different ways.
Wow.
Lots of different ways. So as those plant balls are cooking up, I'm going to cover that, and I am going to get a little plate going here. So I have a lovely plate, and I'm going to put some of my bow tie noodles on here.
Look at you. You're so organized.
I'm all ready to go. And, that's another nice thing about cooking in general. Like, everything is so flexible, right? This is how I do it. But Jane, you might like something else. You might eat gluten-free. You might like, zucchini noodles. So there's always a way to make what you want, but make it in a delicious way that works for you. So the last ingredient I'm going to put in to our gravy is unsweetened yogurt. I can't find a lot of sour cream, vegan sour cream where I am for some reason. So I'm using a great substitute, if you find that in a recipe, is vegan yogurt that is plain and unsweetened. And this one is by Coco June. I really like it. It's really thick and it's really tangy, it just works well in a recipe like this. So it's delicious. Put berries.
And you put that in right at the end. Why at the end?
Because I don't want it to, I want it to retain its thickness. I want it to not get too cooked down. So you can just see if you can see that. I'm just going to whisk it, swirl it around a little bit. Mm-hmm. Changes the color. So now the color is lighter.
You're living on the edge. You're living on the edge.
These things happen to real chefs, So I'm going to plate it. Now our meatballs look like Look how gorgeous. Oh my God, they smell, where's my tongue? They smell wonderful.
Show us again. Show us the
Yes.
again.
Look at that. Brown and crusty.
Wow. Yeah, for sure.
Another brown and crusty one, delicious. Woo! So I'm gonna plop these on top of my pasta.
Wow.
I wish I made mashed potatoes. That's my favorite. But I did.
Pasta looks good. Oh, wow. This is great.
So this is before the sauce.
Oh, wow.
And then we're going to put our gravy on, which is so thick and creamy and delicious. Let me get my spoon here. And we're just going to drizzle that over. And we'll not be shy about that. And then I'm going to, so you can see.
Whoa. There we go. Wow. I'm so hungry right now.
Can't have that without a little pasta.
But don't touch that. Take photos of it because we need some really beautiful horizontal photos at your leisure so we can do a story on this. This is amazing.
Delicious.
Now, tell us very briefly about Catskill Animal Sanctuary, one of my favorite sanctuaries in Saugerties, New York. How are you guys doing during the pandemic? Tell us about your animals, because if people want to help, if you enjoyed this recipe, give a little donation to casanctuary.org, Catskill Animal Sanctuary, and support these wonderful people who do such work from the bottom of their heart. Tell us.
Yes, so as you can imagine, it is difficult for organizations like Catskill Animal Sanctuary. We have 150 acres or so, and on those acres we have lots and lots of animals, up to 11 different species, and these are all animals that have been rescued from neglect or abuse, and they come to Catskill Animal Sanctuary for healing. They come to be ambassadors so that they teach other people. When you come nose to nose with a beautiful pig and you get licked by a cow named Tucker, it's hard to go back and not think about what you're eating. And so this connection that is magical that happens at the sanctuary is difficult now because we are closed, but we expect to be open, like everybody else when that happens. But in the meantime, we offer streaming live sanctuary visits that you can come onto our website and check out. You can even order them and have them for your school group.
Now this is sort of like GoToMeeting that I've heard about, and what this does is you'll actually have an actual animal on the Zoom, like your Tucker the cow, right?
Yes, you can do that. You can also just schedule 30 minutes or an hour for your group, and you can actually get a virtual tour of the sanctuary with one of our educators. And not only that, the cooking classes that I'm not teaching in person, I'm teaching online. Every cooking class, we're the only sanctuary that has a full-time, full-on vegan culinary program. And at the beginning of every cooking class, we have a wonderful cameo, right directly live from the sanctuary. And it's just a way to connect people with the animals and what the choices they make with their food are. So tomorrow we're doing baking, and so we're going to have a chicken join us and talk about eggs. So it's really, we're doing so many creative, wonderful things to continue to get our mission, and a mission that is broader than Catskill Animal Sanctuary. It's a worldwide mission. It's for your environment, it's for your health, and it's for these animals that we do this work.
I just read a study that said that sanctuary visits impact diet, and that it's one of the most effective ways for people to really make the connection and change their diet by incorporating fruits, vegetables, nuts, and grains, and making things like meatballs without the meat. And now we can call them plant balls. I want to thank you. You're amazing. You're obviously a very talented chef. Let's hold up that incredible dish one more time. Oh, you've got a book.
This was in our cookbook. Yeah, so this was featured in our cookbook, Compassionate Cuisine, which is available on our website. If you want to support the sanctuary, this is another way to do it, buy our cookbook. And let me show you this yummy meatball.
That's gorgeous. So gorgeous.
I'm going to be eating it.
Oh, yeah. Don't eat it before taking some horizontal photos so that we can put it on the Jane Unchained website. And when you go to the Jane Unchained website, the entire recipe is written, and you can hit print and print it and just keep it on your refrigerator magnet ready to make. I want to
come to our website, learn about our classes, learn about the sanctuary, and just be a part of this really, really exciting journey that so many people are joining in on right now. It's great.
Sanctuary.org, Catskill Sanctuary from New York. Chef Linda, we want to have you back real soon.
Come back. Thank you for having me. So excited.
Thank you. Carry on.
Okay, thanks.